Welcome back, everybody. This is the B-Man. That's the Pappy. We are the Staple Crew. We are so happy to be back with you.
Glad to have you guys back.
Talking about blockchain, talking about cryptocurrencies, talking about all kinds of good stuff. And one that's been on our heart, and we've heard some discussions about, and we got very interested in. Today's rabbit hole is Bitcoin versus gold. Do we want to own Bitcoin, or do we want to own gold? Do we want to own both?
Deep subject.
We're going to get into that today with you.
Yeah. Hopefully we're going to get somewhere and clear a lot of the mystery up and allow you to make your own decisions on it, because they both have strong points and they're both a good thing to have laying around the house, obviously. So, why would you want to own Bitcoin and gold, Brent?
My studies have taken me into, we both watch and really like Mike Maloney. If any of you want to go down that road as far as like understanding about gold and the history of money, highly recommend it. I go back and revisit that from time to time just to keep fresh on these things. Why I would want to own them both, Dad? They are both a storage of wealth. They are both what we can put into the category of money versus the
Right.
category of fiat currency.
Correct.
Fiat currency not being a storage of wealth, but having fungibility, usability in society. So having Bitcoin and gold for its storage of wealth and other intrinsic values, a lot of which we're about to get right into.
Yes.
I want to throw it over to you, Dad. We're excited about our pros and cons list.
Yeah.
And I want
We have
you
a fun list to share.
I want you to start where you want to start. What are you excited about? What are you thinking about?
First of all, I'd like to start with this. I owned them both. I, for a long time, was what they call a gold bug. And then I sort of graduated into a silver bug, if you will, because I really believe in a lot of ways silver is a better precious metal of the two to own in terms of value, use case, and future. That's a whole separate other video. That's not Bitcoin to gold. Bitcoin to gold, the more I learned about Bitcoin, the more I understood its values. Did everything that gold has done for 5,000 years, only it did it in a digital level. It allowed us to transport it electrically, the value of gold all over the world instantly. So when you learn enough about Bitcoin, when you go through we talk about the 100th hour all the time about the education of Bitcoin, you understand it has all those values that gold has, plus many, many, many more that are more usable in today's systems, society, and the way we transact.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite sayings is, gold needs cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies don't need gold. And what I mean by that is, gold can't transport itself from one place to another without cryptocurrency or a digital market exchange of wealth. But Bitcoin doesn't need gold as a storage of wealth. It is, because of its scarcity, more scarce than gold.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Something
in that
else,
sense,
something else, Dad, that we're all taught. I think I hear so many Americans say is gold backed.
right.
And now we have these blockchains and cryptocurrencies coming out where they're talking about being gold backed. Can you elaborate for us on just, why we don't need that. Why specifically? It doesn't necessarily make sense to.
It sounds like the perfect world, right? I mean, everybody's oh wow, perfect. It's gold-backed cryptocurrency. Wow, what could go wrong? You know, some of the issues that in my cons column for gold is where's the gold that's backing? What vault is it in? Who counted it? Who authenticated the gold? Is it a gold bar full of lead? Did I get to see it? How many cryptos did you, times how many ounces of it do you possess? That's a bad place to start. In particular, you're selling a vault full of gold. How much other gold is there in the world? Yeah. So you don't have that exact number.
Unknown.
And you don't have that exact number that Bitcoin has. There's 21 million, period. That's a number that we all know. We can all agree on. Mm-hmm. Gold, we're kind of getting in a lot of our bullet points here, but gold has a lot of mining that happens every day. And as the price of gold goes up, they're going to mine it harder. They're going to spend more money to find it. And if you look around, we haven't even really started to mine 2/3 of the planet. We haven't started mining underneath the ocean, which has got to be covered with gold, right?
Yeah, you think.
So, yeah, because you can find gold almost everywhere on the planet, in finite pieces, obviously. So I guess that answered the question.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
How about in terms of storage and something that we were just discussing, and my brain goes to as far as pros and cons. You know, I've got private and public keys, and I like the usability of my cryptocurrency, of my Bitcoin, as far as being able to transact with that anywhere versus, and you brought it up, Dad, kind of the clumsiness and the heaviness. And a pro for gold is that it is an actual, solid chunk of something. You can manufacture that into something. Yeah. But you do have to store that in, say, a physical safe. You don't have to, but you can put it under your bed. That kind of brings up the whole topic we got into of, like, cops and robbers, and literally bank robbers, come in and they can come and take all the gold out of the bank.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's a security. It's the usability and the safety. Yeah. Of Bitcoin separates the big, for me, big spectrum pros versus the cons, like what I would want to choose to have.
Yeah.
Especially in today's society.
Yeah.
That's
you brought up an interesting point, which is really something most people don't think about. He brought up a safe. Okay, well, you're at the Smith family, and okay, honey, let's buy a safe to put our gold in. Mm-hmm. Great, that sounds fantastic. Mm-hmm. So you run down to the store and you buy this big safe. Can you move it? Nope, it's a little big for that. So you got to hire someone. Uh-oh. Now somebody knows you have a giant safe in your house. The guys who are willing to move it may or may not be the most trustworthy people in the society in which you live in. I'm not saying anything against movers, but you get the point. You now have a risk. You have somebody who knows, well, they're storing something in there pretty damn important to them, right? This big giant safe. So what safe? I've heard people go to the extreme of, oh, well, when you buy a safe, you rent a car. So nobody can trace your license plate. Well, it's kind of clever. That's kind of cool. But all of these are what we like to call second party, it's a middleman. Mm-hmm. It's somebody in between you and your wealth. That's trouble. You know, how do you take it to a coin shop? And I'm pretty sure this is a gold bar. You know, now there are ways to test a gold bar. You know, I'm kind of making a problem out of that, but it is still, there's somebody in between you and your wealth, often with gold. Not always, because you could dig a hole in the backyard and you could be the only person that knows it's there, and you know that's as good as a safe in a lot of ways. Other than, you know, metal detectors and whatnot. Now we're going down that road.
I'm someone who's not been a gold bug. You know, I mentioned Mike Maloney. Learned a lot from my dad and from others, and in reading and a lot of history reading I've done. You know, it's affected civilizations for a very long time. Something I wanted us to get into and ask you about was huge topic
just throw it out there
in the world is inflation and deflation. You know, with Bitcoin, you know, we're talking about using a system to trade and transact with that is deflationary.
Right.
And I wanted you brought it up earlier to me, explaining a little more about how gold is inflating in today's economical world and the markets.
Well, now gold is a really, really good storage against inflation. Okay, it really is. You know, it's held its value for, you know, 5,000-6,000 years. So like if you live somewhere where it's 40 and 50% inflation rate, if you don't own gold, you're just, you know, you're missing the boat. I mean, you're just by holding your money in cash would just be foolish. You'd lose 50% of the value of your money annually. That just, it seems crazy to me. Argentina comes to mind. But the deflationary values are completely different with Bitcoin and gold, because like we said, we can mine it all over the planet and we don't know how much there is, and we don't know how much they can inflate it by finding more of it. And we have no idea how much of it's out there. Bitcoin, as we know, you know, every halving, and you can look up what halving means, but Bitcoin goes through a halving every 4 years, and the rewards for mining Bitcoin get cut in half. That's a number that you can't buy a bigger tractor and find more gold. That's a set mathematical, like a watch. It's ticking down. You're getting less reward every 4 years of mining Bitcoin. So that is deflationary.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah, it's deflationary is the hardest one for people. It really is, because we're so used to inflation. And for some reason the Federal Reserve tells us, oh, it's really good that we have 2% inflation annually. I still don't understand the value in that. That doesn't make any sense. But
what?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, yeah. I know why they say that, and I could go into a 20-minute conversation about that. But they're hiding deflation. They're hiding technology. We get more and more efficient with the things we build and the things we create, and technology makes our life easier and easier and easier. That's very deflationary. Okay, things get cheaper and cheaper. Have you noticed how cheap a 100-inch screen TV is now?
Yeah.
Right.
We're talking to you about Bitcoin and gold, and we came up with way more pros for Bitcoin as far as easier to trade. I literally wrote down easy global trading. You know, like that's where we're headed.
I think it was you, or maybe it was me, that said, how do you get online and buy a pair of Nikes with gold? You know, it's a little difficult. Not yet, anyway. Or you could do it with electronic. Even then.
Yeah, you'd have to find a private seller. You know, there's.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I'm pretty sure the kids of today they're understanding the value of silver and gold, which is really neat, because the word inflation is on more people's mind today than ever before. It's really, I think we were talking yesterday, it's really cool to see the Gen Z get involved in investing and understanding what money really is and what it means and where it's headed and what it means when they print more of it. It's interesting because people my age, we never even considered any of those factors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're of the same opinion. Our youth is our future. The youngest generation, being the greatest generation. They are the tip of the spear.
Yes.
They are going to absorb all of our knowledge, all of our wisdom, and like we do. Like I'm in my 30s now. You learn about what you don't want to do anymore, and how you don't want to do it. It's like I'm not. 20s were fun, but I'm not going to do it that way anymore. I'm gonna make things easier for myself. I'm gonna save more of my energy. I'm going to use more of my energy in ways that are efficient and profitable and productive. And
pretty much everybody from your age down, technology is their life.
Yeah.
They don't know the world without it. Like my generation, we had to learn it all. Mm-hmm. We're not getting any younger.
Yeah, and, all my friends younger than me, I have good friends that never owned CDs, and they're
crazy.
Had
it's neat too.
The origins of like when iPads came out and things.
Yeah.
And laptops, and they were exposed to all of that. That's going to be for them in the future. They're already ahead of the game on that, and we have another episode idea that's really exciting to just put out there. That's
a deep dive into that.
Yeah, how the kids today. We want the kids to benefit. Yeah. The change of wealth from your generation, Dad, to mine.
Yes.
Has been
huge.
So huge. Whereas I would argue that life has gotten easier in a lot of ways and better. I feel like the world's getting better financially, and investing, and those things have become much harder.
Trickier.
Yeah.
And it's harder to get returns, and
you can slip and fall. And so that's why, we would argue, gold over fiat all day, I'm sure.
All day.
But our, our head just got into the space of, okay, Bitcoin and gold. Okay, which do we want to invest in? Which do we like more today?
Yeah. Right.
And for the future.
And something we didn't even talk about, we've talked about before, but like we're turning electricity into money with cryptocurrencies. And that's what a lot of people are trying to catch up to, that thought process. You can't turn electricity into gold. So that tells me that the future of gold, it has to be mined with diesel, basically. And, it's not that it's a green issue or anything like that, but you're moving tons of land, and then you have to put it all back, right where you found it, and, it's that, of course, that's a bit of a scarcity argument for gold as well in the future. Mm-hmm. So getting back to, it's pretty clear at this point, we like Bitcoin better than gold.
We do.
I do.
We do.
And one of the biggest reasons is, this is one of the things I've heard hundreds of shows about gold. And one of the things that nobody has ever really discussed or got into detail about is, how do I know how much someone's net worth is? Mm. Do you go to your bank and tell them how much gold you have? Do you walk in the door and show it to them, and then you get a digital account that says he's worth $100,000 because I saw his gold? How do we have an account? How do we say, I understand, if something happened and you had to, well, it's purchasing power. Well, he can just go buy whatever he needs. But you can't leverage against it. You couldn't loan against it. You can't borrow with it. So you're just taking people's word for how much they have in their basement. That's tricky.
Yeah.
Where Bitcoin, every 10 minutes it gets audited, and we know exactly how many Bitcoins you have.
It gets into authenticity.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Now we had some Bitcoin cons.
Auditing.
He came up with a great one, actually.
We do have Bitcoin cons, of course. I love my dad's. I'm going to let him get to that one.
That's interesting.
And yours is a con moving to a pro.
Yes.
So is mine. We both said use case. We're seeing Bitcoin ATMs blowing up all over the world. I think it's like there's 400% more last year than the year before.
Yeah.
They've installed, I think, tens of thousands globally now. I want to say it's like 30,000 units globally. So things like that, we're seeing the growth. Crypto wallets, exchanges, the adoption of exchanges in mainstream. So we're seeing the adoption, we're seeing the use case. You're able to pay with crypto at different companies. Right now, especially online.
Square, PayPal, Venmo.
Yeah. So these the bridges are being made, and that's something that we're really excited to get into, as far as how the blockchains are going to bridge to each other, and then how they're also going to bridge to us. Bitcoin is reliant on power. This is the big complaint I hear. It's like, well, what if all the lights go out? What if all the power goes out? How are we going to use Bitcoin?
It's a big issue.
And we kind of back and forth it for 5-10 minutes, and it would be very handy to have a gold bar.
Coins for sure.
Yeah, coins for sure. If you got to haul the bar down to the grocery store, it's like, whereas, we all believe the lights are going to come back on. And, that's just, we're consistently making power. Not to go too far down this hole, but I think any issue, with power outages and things, it's either a natural disaster, a hurricane, or it's political. It's
excuse me.
It's money based. And so mankind is creating a ton of power, and we're figuring out how to harness it in ways that are unbelievable. Same with the internet. We're going to be getting the internet from outer space, and we're able to send the internet now to different planets. We're going to be doing a video about that too. I've got very passionate about just the ability to do it. I'm not let's go to another planet guy, but I think that's cool. But I am, how do we expand the technology where it's just bulletproof and it's just unbelievably usable? But power technology, that's where Bitcoin came from, and that's where it's still being used to mine. And so you do need to have the lights on. You do need to have the phone charged.
But like you said, that's changing as well.
Yes.
So in the future, that won't be a con. That will. Sorry, my dog's trying to get in the trailer.
How's it going over there?
Hey, back.
Bruno, you stay.
So in the future, that will be a pro, because, like he was saying, we have Starlink and other things. So long as you have solar and you have a battery power, you're going to be able to get to your Bitcoins, because we have a satellite system. Actually, Bitcoin's in satellites. It's in space now. So,
internet goes down, we're going to be able to bring it right back up.
Yeah, exactly.
We're beyond capable of that now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very clear. So fears and concerns about it, technologically and power-wise, I think are, the more and more I research, the less and less concerned I am about that. Across the board.
Yeah.
I really am.
It's a possibility, but yeah.
How about yours, Dad? Yours is very basic and I thought very smart point about the cons to Bitcoin. What was your big con? That first one you were telling me
The
about.
Federal Reserve one, or the central banks.
That's good too. Yeah.
Well, the central banking system, one of those things we love to like or sometimes hate. The central banking system actually, I think it was last year, nominated or made gold a number one tier asset. Pretty sure that was last year. When you do something like that, that means that globally it's of value to everyone. Everybody in the global banking system. So, virtually everybody. They have purchased gold and owned gold forever. Estimates are that central bankers have at least 30% of their assets in gold, physical owning of gold. So that would that would definitely be a pro for gold, if you like central bankers, and if you like what they do to the banking system around the world, that would be a pro. That could also be a con, but at this point we're going to call it a pro, future to be a con possibly. It just says their belief in the value of gold will probably last for a very long time on the face of this planet.
Yeah.
They're banking on it, shall we say. Yeah.
My dad, when I first started learning about gold, he asked me the question. He's like, would you rather be team gold or team cash or team fiat? And, at the time, I scratched my head over it. And, he explained to me basically that, where it's like people find value in gold. And when all these fiat currencies through history have failed, what were you saying, Dad? It's like
at least 600
it's
times
like
in the history
a
of man.
lot, like all the ones that aren't in existence today, and there've been a lot.
Yeah.
Those things are you have to bring value back. You have to start a new coin. You have to start. Okay, they've been cutting away their gold. Well, okay, now it's all diluted. They've melted it with different types of metals and things. Now I know my currency's not valuable, so you start over. Well, where have they started over? Gold.
Who has the biggest stack of gold?
Yep.
And then they reissue cash, and then the cash goes out and becomes a representation of the gold storage. And then that doesn't work because people print more cash than they have gold, which happened in 1971, and then they end up getting caught in that lie, and they have to cop to it, and then they detach themselves from the value of gold, and they attach themselves to oil, and then you know how the story goes from then. That was 50 years ago, almost to the day. And that's not worked out well, and that's happened some 600 times.
Happy anniversary.
And that's sort of something that's something I'd like to kind of get into with some people who are into gold. It is true that 600 times fiat currencies have failed over the history of the 5,000 years of gold. That is very true. But it also tells me another thing about gold. It failed. Why did it fail?
Why did it fail?
Why did they make the paper money to represent the gold? Because it doesn't travel well. Because if you've got $1 million, you can't put it in your pockets. What are you going to do? How are you going to do that? Right? So that's why as many times as all the gold bugs will tell you, well, every time currencies fail, it gets replaced with gold. That is correct. However, this time, I don't believe that's going to be the case. Because if you look at the last 599 times, gold failed. How did it fail? It couldn't be a good currency. So we needed a currency. Not money, currency. We needed something to flow and float the system so that people could interact and they could carry in a billfold. Or now with a cell phone, just click, I'll buy this, I'll buy that. And gold doesn't work for that. It has no future in that way, to my belief.
Yeah, cash travels well, Bitcoin travels well. But let's look at it in terms of this. When you're, he's lived in Mexico before. So fun. We love Mexico. We go down there right now, or let's say we drive or we take a plane, and to transact in Mexico, we're going to have to exchange. We're going to have to exchange our cash for pesos. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we're seeing Bitcoin being adopted globally. And we got into the discussion with each other about China. That's even that. How are they going to be able to track you transacting with Bitcoin with somebody, say, like me? So me and somebody from China is, exchange. We are the exchange. We are the bank. We are the connecting point. That is how well Bitcoin travels. And
phone to phone, laptop to laptop, done. Yeah, no middleman.
And you can bring your phones and laptops everywhere.
No third-party risk.
Everybody's got those pretty much. So
no third-party risk.
Yeah.
That's huge. You don't have to trust somebody to take your gold bar to China to pay for whatever you paid for. Yeah. So
has
big
Bitcoin
deal.
Will travel.
Yes.
It is a big deal.
And never mind trying to get on a plane with a gold coin. That's not going to work well for you. Depending on what country you're in, they'll probably just steal it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, confiscate it for future evidence to make sure that you weren't, a drug dealer, or God knows what excuse they have to confiscate it. Maybe you get it back in a year. Who knows?
Yeah, and our own, our own Treasury Secretary coming out.
Yeah.
And that she hear, Bitcoin dark web. It's like, man,
Yeah.
How many bad, nasty deals, have been done with all other types of currencies, and to single that out is real silly.
Going back to the airport, like, even if they asked you, how many Bitcoin do you have with you? None.
Yeah, right.
None. But it's in your head. You have your 12-word phrase or whatever, you want to use as your, secret to your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
They can't read your mind. Well, not yet.
Right.
Right? Let's hope that never happens. But you could just fly to any country in the world and use your 12 seed on somebody else's laptop, and now you have whatever was in your Bitcoin account.
Yeah.
I really urge everybody to learn what you can about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because a lot of what you've been told is based on people telling you from half knowledges. They know very little about the subject. They just tell you what they don't want to occur in the future. Most of the bad information comes from banks.
I tune into it now. I'm not getting really over television, especially the news. But
A decade late.
Yeah, right, a decade late. But I also, I've read 2 magazines this week that were specifically geared towards cryptocurrencies, just to see what they are telling you. I need to know what they're trying to tell my dad, and what they're trying to tell my friends, what they're trying to tell my family, what they're trying to tell our viewers, who are all of that. Because it's, what are the truths? Where are we being directed to?
Yeah.
To believe, and we want to share and help each other believe in these systems that are going to be useful to you and profitable to you, and to give you, hopefully, depending on how and when and where and what you purchase,
When and where.
generational wealth, you know, and,
Yeah.
and that's the name of the game. It's like,
Yeah.
my dad bought a farm here, you know, and I'm hoping that my kids get to have it someday. You know, it's a wonderful piece of land where you can grow food, and you can, you know, we have amazing structures, and
Yeah.
that is generational wealth,
Right.
and something as a global trading system like Bitcoin,
Yeah.
we believe is worth getting into. And
Yep.
like Dad said, just research it. Just research it.
Please.
Don't trust us. Research it for yourself, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think we about covered it.
I dig it.
Yeah, that was good.
We just start beating the dead horse now.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
I
if we
believe
keep
we
going
are.
on that.
But, but I think we covered a lot for you to think about, you know, and hopefully we brought up some new things that you haven't heard about or thought about. And
Love it.
Bitcoin over gold, in my opinion. As far as investments go, I'd go 75-25.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be doing. But that's just me. I don't give
Love it.
financial advice.
Yeah. We're not supposed to do that.
However, I used to be a financial advisor.
Right.
But we don't do that anymore.
No.
Yes.
No.
But
Love you guys. We're excited to be with you.
sorry about the long-winded video. It was good. We could have went another hour
Yes.
easily.
Yeah.
We didn't hit all the bullet points. But we will circle around and we will get to all those over time.
Yeah.
And
We want to give you guys the gold nuggets.
Yes.
All the good stuff that we know. We want
Yeah.
to give it to you.
or the Bitcoin
For
nuggets,
free.
as it were.
Boom.
Yes.
If you guys are digging us, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Yeah.
That will help us get out there and
Yes.
get going and give us more juice to be able to keep going and incentivize us. So
We're the staple crew, right?
we're the staple crew.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
right.
sure about that.
Yeah.
So you can look us up there.
We are out.